So when it comes to discussing hot topics in our modern day, we quickly come across a reality that most people recognize, and that is some people think there are no moral norms. There are no moral standards in the world. There's a term for this we use in philosophy. It's called moral relativism. It's this idea that someone might have that you have your morals and I have my morals, and there's no moral absolutes in the universe, and everyone gets to create their own moral system, and that there's no God to create morals, and there's no sort of inherent morality to the universe. He said everybody has their own independent thinking about what is right or wrong or good or bad. That idea of moral relativism has really become popular in the 20th century and now into the 21st century, but it runs into some problems. And for anybody who tries to live out moral relativism with some consistency, quickly runs into those problems. One of the problems that you quickly realize about moral relativism is that it's actually self-contradictory. As soon as you say that it's wrong to tell someone they're wrong, you realize very quickly that you just contradicted yourself. If you say, you can't go around telling people they're right or wrong because there's no moral absolutes, you just created a moral absolute, which is that there's no right or wrong, or that there's no right or wrongs. And you realize that you can't have your sort of philosophical cake and eat it too. So as soon as someone pronounces a condemnation on all people for having morality, you realize that that itself is a form of morality. And so that is why, at the end of the day, moral relativism is ultimately self-defeating. But the problem gets worse than that. It's not just that moral relativism is self-defeating, but it actually is so impossible to live out. You'll quickly realize that when someone says that moral norms are relative and you can just live however you want, they don't actually consistently live that out in their lives, because you'll find that even the non-Christian, even the atheist, is quite upset about a great many things in the world. Very upset about maybe atrocities overseas, or maybe environmental pollution, or whatever it might be that bothers them. And they really feel that in their heart, these things are wrong. These things are offensive to them. These things are really problematic. And they work really hard in their lives to change these things and to fix them. But of course, if there's no moral norms in the universe and everybody just gets to do what they want, and there are no things like right and wrong, you realize very quickly that that kind of behavior doesn't make any sense at all. In other words, they say there's no moral standards, but they don't live like there's no moral standards. Why do people do that? Well, the Bible has an answer. The Bible says that every human being knows there's a right and wrong, because every human being has the image of God inside of them, and they have the law of God imprinted on their heart. So even if the professed atheist says they don't think there's right and wrong in the world, deep down they actually know there's right and wrong in the world, because they know there's a God who's created that right and wrong, and they know that to live a life that's coherent and reasonable, they have to actually have things in life that are right and wrong. And so this is where we really get to the nub of the matter. Christians say that there's only one real way to explain that, and that is the existence of the Christian God. We think you have moral standards in the universe precisely because you have a Christian God who has made the universe, and the universe reflects his own nature and his own character. So right and wrong is not decided by human beings. Right and wrong is decided by God, and they reflect who he is. So the next time you hear an argument that there's no right and wrong, to simply point out the fact that that itself is a claim of right and wrong. At the end of the day, the only way to have moral norms is to believe in the God of the Bible.